Purpose is found when your passion becomes your responsibility. Thank you. If only it was that easy. Over the next few moments, I'm going to show you how I found my life's purpose. But my aim isn't only to educate. It is to inspire you to embark on the journey of discovering your own life's purpose. When I was 12, I began to think a lot. Why is the sky blue? Why are we here on Earth? And what is our purpose in life? Usually, this happens to adults as a midlife crisis when they realize that half their life is over, but what exactly have they achieved? So, 12-year-old me came to the conclusion that life had no inherent meaning, and no matter how hard I looked, I could only find a clean sheet of paper looking right back at me. It made me feel quite depressed at the time, and it didn't help that my parents were loading me with homework from tutoring on top of all the schoolwork, because back then, I was going through the dreaded selective test, the supreme exam, which would ultimately determine whether or not you got into one of the top prestigious high schools. And for those of you who are unable to relate with the intensity of Asian parents, allow me to give you some insight and perspective. My parents immigrated from China about 20 years ago in search of a better life for themselves and their yet-to-be-born children. But life wasn't easy as first-generation immigrants. They had to work 12-hour days for many years whilst hoping to not lose that mundane job, which was at the same time the only lifeline. My father, he would study by day and work odd jobs at night, whether it was dishwashing or toilet cleaning. And like any parent, they wanted better for their children. They believed that education was the key to a better career in life. And education wasn't exactly an opportunity that was presented to them on a silver platter. You would imagine that it was much to their relief when I managed to gain admission into one of the top academic high schools in New South Wales. And on paper, I sounded pretty damn cool, but in reality, that was the furthest from the truth. Because school was kind of torturous in my eyes, and I simply lacked engagement. We were learning things like circle geometry and 400-year-old Shakespearean text. Let me ask you guys a quick question. Do you guys ever use 400-year-old Shakespearean text in your daily lives? Yeah, me neither. And being the inquisitive child I was, I would go up to them and ask them, what's the point of learning all of this? And they would always reply along the lines of, you'll need this for the HSC, so you can go to a good university and get a good paying job. Now, to me, it seemed as if good grades, prestige, and money was the definition of success. And to a high school student, high school is everything. If you're good at high school, you're good at life and you're set. But if you aren't so academically driven, like myself and presumably many others, you're not so good at life and you're not so set. But much of what we learn at school can never actually be applied in real life. So what's the point in even studying? It was around this point in time that I began to feel as if my life was kind of pointless. I began to delve into escapism habits, like gaming, and that habit developed into an addiction, something that I look forward to and yet hate so much at the same time. This marked the darkest stage in my life, and what I lacked was purpose. Some of you may be able to relate. In this room of 100 people, approximately 70 of you will go through a similar experience at some point in your lives. 70% of people are unhappy and unfulfilled despite being born in the greatest era to ever be alive. Let me explain to you why. When I speak to university students, many of them tell me that uni is so much harder than high school, and that I had no idea what was in store for me. And then when I talk to adults, so many of them are speaking of the good old university days when they were still free. And they tell me how miserable it is to be working 9 to 5 around the clock for something that they don't even believe in. So many people are suffering through high school and university to be stuck in a job that they aren't even passionate about until they retire into a nursing home. And this is the staggering 70%. What we lack is self-awareness. Self-awareness of what drives us as individuals and self-awareness of what our purpose is in life. Here's another fun fact. The majority of human conversations are complaints. Think back over the last 24 hours. How many times have you complained? Whether it was about your boss or teacher, or perhaps the goddamn public transport delays. Other times, complaining can lead to positive change in the world. Climate change, bad presidents, and corruption can often bring out the best of us through our own voices, raising awareness of the world's problems. But what shocks me is that so many people are complaining, and yet so few are actually taking action. I don't see Elon Musk sitting around at home on his couch complaining about global warming. He's actually taking action and executing on what he believes in. Tesla Motors is building electric cars to replace diesel engines. SpaceX is enabling humans to achieve interplanetary travel, and SolarCity is unlocking greener energy for a more sustainable future. And what is so surprising and amazing, and what so many people don't realize, is that everyone has the power to make a difference. You don't need to be the next Elon Musk or Einstein. In fact, hundreds of social enterprises are launched every single week globally. 5 years ago, in 2014, when my oldest brother was 16, he came to a similar realization as myself. School wasn't really properly preparing us for the 21st century. So who was going to solve the problem? He did. He founded Generation Entrepreneur, an organization empowering high school students to become the next generation of entrepreneurs, innovators, and leaders. Generation Entrepreneur today is now Australia's largest high school hackathon organizer, impacting over thousands of students across New South Wales. The message here is that people less qualified than yourself are creating bigger impacts simply because they chose to take action and responsibility for what they believe in. Don't point at the government for the problems. Don't point at Donald Trump or the freaking aliens. Point at yourself and ask yourself, what will you do? If you put one and one together, you'll come to realize that your life's purpose can be found by taking on responsibility. There's a trend that shows the more responsibility you take on, the more purposeful and fulfilling your life will be. You can play Minecraft all day at home, having fun whilst around it, and never take on any responsibility. But what will you see when you look back at the end of your life? Jordan Peterson, one of the greatest intellectuals of the 21st century, said it the best. It is through responsibility that most people find the meaning which sustains them through life. Start by taking responsibility for yourself. Go for that run and nourish your body with the nutrients it needs. Take responsibility for those around you, your friends and family. Take responsibility for the future of humanity and our one planet. If there is anything I want you to leave with today, it will be these 3 key realizations. First is that we all have the power to make a difference, but only if we change our mindset from within. Second is that action will create the difference which complaining never will. You can have the best ideas or the loudest complaints, but they'll amount to nothing without action. And finally, your life's purpose can be found when you take on responsibility for something bigger than yourself and something that you believe in. Remember when I said I was addicted to gaming and was struggling at school? I was surrounded by non-believers who only wanted to settle for a stable life. And school is kind of built for non-believers. But once you realize the insane amount of privilege you are living in, you begin to change. Being born as a human in the greatest era to ever be a human really humbled my ego and made me rethink. I found my life's purpose by taking on the responsibility to making the world a better place, through living the life of an entrepreneur, building massive empires while solving world problems. When your passion aligns with your responsibility, you will find your purpose. My name is Leo, and this is my story. I hope that by sharing it with you, it will inspire you to rethink and consider your own life's purpose. It's about time you join this journey as one team with one dream for our one planet.